If you've been living under a rock since 2020, let's just say that the FNAF community has been through, well, quite a bit of turbulence. Yet exciting project announcements and releases at the same time. Like, I don't know, Security Breach, Ruin, Help Wanted 2, our final goodbye to that AR game, Into the Pit, stuff like that. But one of these projects that has piqued my interest over the past couple years has been the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. Now, for those unaware, the Funny Faz Multiverse is a collaboration between multiple FNAF fan game developers who get the opportunity to expand their own series and make new content, like console, mobile ports, merch, and even new installments, almost treating each series like it's the next big FNAF game. The Fanverse originally had 5 developers, but eventually downgraded to 3. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to go in-depth into the dramas that surround the initiative, as in there's already a lot of coverage, and I highly recommend checking out Tyler Land's Iceberg video if anyone's interested. Instead, for this video, I'll be talking about my thoughts on the development of POPGOES Evergreen, one of the current upcoming games in the initiative's lineup. But before we do that, let me give a small recap about the legacy of why this game is a thing. POPGOES Evergreen is a complete reboot of the original fan game, POPGOES, released in 2016 after the original arcade game earlier that same year. That and this reboot are both made with a huge team of people around the world, and though the game's graphics are pretty outdated and it's overall not perfect at all, it's one of my favorite old fan games that I still feel is pretty solid and provided its unique lore and secrets. This game would eventually tease sequel projects, like they do, but the majority of which have gotten cancelled. The only sequel that survived the 2017 to 2019 era of POPGOES was Arcade No. 2. After that was supposed to be POPGOES to the Dead Forest and I believe POPGOES Finale, which was going to pretty much wrap up the original timeline in place of POPGOES Reprinted by recycling minigames. But only a single demo was put out in 2019. One of the reasons that these POPGOES sequel projects got cancelled was partly due to the fact that the developer, Kane, was not satisfied with the story and found POPGOES Finale pretty damn useless because it would have had presumably half of the cancelled POPGOES 2 story that was never fully fleshed out to the general public in a playable form. That is, until POPGOES Evergreen was announced back in 2020, a complete reboot of the POPGOES series that is not only going to have a completely revamped story, but also some new game mechanics, character designs, and a shit ton of extra features, which brings me to this video. You've read the title, I'm going to be speaking my thoughts on a lot of big reveals about this upcoming FNAF fan game, and only Evergreen. While I do love the side games like POPGOES Arcade and My POPGOES, they are a bit too much to tackle in a video like this, at least for right now. I'm gonna throw some dirt at some points, but alright, here we go. First, we have the title change, from the POPGOES reboot to POPGOES Evergreen. I don't have too much to say on the title itself, but I do think it's unique. Unique? Oh my god. I don't have too much to say on the title itself, aside from it being very different, eye-catching, and pretty unique from what the typical FNAF fan game player usually sees. They usually come across titles like Golden Memory 2, Baby's Nightmare Circus, Five Nights at Fang's, Night Shift at Spike's, Five Nights at Fredbear's, Five Nights at Freddy's Reloaded, Five Nights at Obama, Five Nights in Peppa's House. Rat Race? The meaning of the term evergreen as a noun means a plant that retains green leaves throughout a year or a super long time, as I'd put it. But what does this mean for the game? Well, my only guess is that it could relate to its quality and/or the story's impact on characters, or having certain elements like guilt or freedom being maintained for a while? I don't know, it's hard to explain myself. Overall, I like this title, and the fact that Kane and his crew went through over 50 titles and finally ending up with something at least different sounding from other fan games is pretty impressive to me. Be thankful you didn't wind up with a title like Wallace and Gromit in Nightmare House. Since late 2020, Kane has put out weekly update posts on GameJolt. Most of them were pretty small development logs, merch updates, stickers, and fan art showcases. These update posts would stay mostly consistent till summer 2023, with the majority tackling a different part of the game's development. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these posts for hopefully obvious reasons, but I will give my input on a few that caught my eye. Back in 2021, Kane posted an FAQ post answering common questions folks had about the upcoming game. At least to me, a few of them can also be asked about the other initiative games, but there's a couple here that stick out to me the most, and we'll start with this one. The purpose of the dynamic weather/night cycle is one that I find pretty cool to hear and only gets better when I describe it. Basically, during the night, there's a common chance that different types of weather can occur, like rain, thunder, fog, and even turning daylight when it hits 6 a.m. Who's hungry for more? I really like this concept, and it's definitely different from several fan games over the years that have used the typical 6 a.m. jingle with a black background. I think the last game that had an interesting day/night cycle that pops right into my head is, Boogeyman or Frosty Nights. Anyway, next up we have a custom night. Never mind, no custom night. Yeah, when the speculation of there possibly being a custom night was awry, it's been confirmed by Kane that it's not the case and instead would be replaced with this thing called Challenge Nights, where I assume you'd play through various unique and different challenges with a certain objective that is almost nothing like the other. Listen, I know this is a 3-year-old post, and there's probably a slew of changes behind the scenes, but I am all for this idea. The main reason Kane isn't going for a custom night this time is in his quote, "I honestly think that custom nights are useless outside of specific presets, max difficulty challenges, and secret codes, and that it doesn't take much advantage of a quote-unquote customizable experience." In a way, I can understand Kane's POV. So here's my POV. You see, when you boil it down, the typical FNAF custom night would only be customizable in terms of character AI. But most of the time, there isn't enough to give the titular custom night its own unique identity separate from the main game. The Cupcake Challenge is pretty much night 4.
Aw, come on!
Let's see what else. Multiple language subtitles, the Badger's buttons being colorblind friendly, in-game collectible coins, Saffron has a new mechanic, more than 2 endings, collecting phone skins. Wowzers. So the main mechanic in the original 2016 POPGOES was the phone. Ever owned one? No, it's not used to browse TikTok or a marketplace, you silly goose. What year is this, 2020? This phone right here is used to switch cameras, and your main use is to stop the animatronics. I never thought it was anything jaw-dropping, but it was still pretty neat, and it really stuck out apart from the other camera panels and other FNAF fan games. Hey! And in Evergreen, the phone is, well, obviously returning, but with new unlockable looks to make it really pop. Goes. I hate my life. In the original game, there were different multicolored phone wallpapers you can unlock via the custom night challenges. But those were just recolors of the phone background that you can only have in the custom night, yet can't play through the main nights with these. But this one has Tom and Jerry! Whereas in Evergreen, not only does it look like you can equip different phone skins after unlocking them, but they have a wide variety of skin types, like a Glamrock, a tape player, hand unit, TVs, a damn chocolate bar. Oh, never mind. The fact that Kane is planning to make up to like 50 phones takes a lot of dedication, balls, and tears from my eyes, because of how beautiful it sounds, man. Moving on, in the original POPGOES, not shutting down the rooms on the titular weasel would have had him print pieces of this guy and place them on the table behind you as a way to kill the player. In this post, Kane mentioned the idea of placing the Black Rabbit's pieces either in a certain order or completely randomized. Not too much to say on this right now, other than randomizing the order of the pieces placed sounds a bit more fun to me. Maybe the head could be the first piece in a playthrough, or I don't know, only a hand or a foot can kill you. Fun! Throughout a long while, Kane has shared a plethora of info about the layout of the POPGOES pizzeria when it comes to making the rooms more fleshed out and each one being extremely different from the other. I won't go as far as to say that any of these look 1000% realistic, but I will give the visuals quite a bit of credit because everything looks way more dark and gloomy compared to a completely lit room. This is all thanks to the fantastic work of the modelers and especially Garrett McKay, for making them flow together pretty smoothly. Let's talk jump scares. You know, the thing in horror DNA? Back in 2023, lo and behold, the jump scares for POPGOES and False Balloon Boy were revealed. Let's look at POPGOES jump scare revealed in August 2023. Now, I'll be honest, I have complicated feelings toward this jump scare, so let me just summarize it lightly. I don't like the jump scare. It's not bad by any means, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it has that hard punch or shock that startles a player. Or maybe it's the motion blur that makes it a tiny bit slow. I don't know, that's what I'm assuming. In other news, here's what made me shit my pants.
Well? Oh my god! What the heck, bro? He looked at me! Oh my god!
I love False Balloon Boy's jump scare, or at least the current version of it. I turn into a chill machine when he's running to the camera, combined with his distorted laugh. It's probably the combination of the animation and audio that really sell this one for me. Solid stuff. The last topic I want to touch on a little bit is the story of the game. Ever since the ancient period of 2015 when POPGOES was first in the making, it's been made clear by Kane that the game has a huge story that only takes the first 3 FNAF games into account, and that everything else past FNAF 3 is not canon to the POPGOES timeline. Oh, you want Nightmare POPGOES? Oh, here you go! POPGOES pretty much uses the basis of FNAF 1, 2, and 3 to craft its own story with not only new characters, but also reimagining pre-existing characters, like William Afton is named Simon Fitzgerald this time, and instead of Henry Emily, we have Fritz Glade, aka Jeremy Fitzgerald. Wait, he did exist? Now, considering this video is as long as it is, I won't be getting my knees deep into much of the lore right now. In fact, there is a video made by the user RyeToast which details the original 2016 lore of POPGOES and speculating on what Evergreen's story could be. I highly recommend you check out this one, link in the description. One thing I will say is that Kane has clarified on Twitter, or x.com if you're a porn star, that the main core elements of the POPGOES story are still present, though many small details in between are going to be heavily reworked to make more sense and satisfying. I fully support this. Not to say that the original story is bad in my eyes, but it also shows how much time and care that Kane and the other POPGOES team members are taking on their story and gameplay. Hell, for a long time now, Kane Carter has been pretty damn active on several socials about the game when it comes to small development posts, merch updates, charity packs with this guy, and even answering several frequently asked questions here and there. Honestly, it's crazy cool to see how far Kane has come from once being a small, not too well-known fan game dev to the literal spokesperson of the Fazbear fanverse. And that's it. Now, despite a lot of the fanverse drama, I still can't help but appreciate and respect the hell out of the current creators in the initiative for showing their love for the fanverse and for the series they're creating. So, what's next? What should we expect from new POPGOES content in late 2024, bleeding into 2025? Honestly, I got nothing, because I don't know how to make games. At least not yet. But with the recent release of my POPGOES and stunning new model work, I think the series is getting more fresh and interesting, as well as having new ways of showing new secrets and teasers. Of course, I don't think Evergreen will top the original FNAF games or be the horror game of all time, but I can tell from my perspective that it's more than just a traditional FNAF fan game and it's going off in its own direction. Think about it, what other FNAF fan game has several game modes or skins? The f***ing Italians?!